Good morning, my dear friend. The day is still young, and the sky is painted with the soft colors of dawn. The world feels hushed in this sacred hour, as though creation itself pauses to listen. There is something holy about these first moments of the morning, when the night has retreated and the light begins to stretch across the earth. It is in this stillness that our hearts are most open, most honest, and most ready to seek what cannot be found in the noise of the day. Perhaps you are listening now with a heavy heart. Maybe you carry the weight of fears that never seem to leave you. No matter how many times you try to silence them, imagine a woman who has just lost her job, unsure of how she will provide for her children. She lies awake at night, staring at the ceiling, her thoughts racing in circles. Bills pile up on the kitchen table, and each knock on the door fills her with dread. She wonders if anyone truly sees her pain. Or picture a man who has been battling sickness for months. Once strong and full of life, he now feels fragile and uncertain, watching as the world around him keeps moving forward while he is left behind. These moments of brokenness are real. They reach deep into the soul and whisper that hope is slipping away. And yet, here you are this morning. Even in your weakness, you have chosen to rise and to listen. That choice alone is a seed of faith. It means you believe, however faintly, that there must be more than what your eyes can see. It means you are ready to turn from the shadows of fear and lift your gaze toward a greater horizon. The truth is that the challenges you face are not the end of your story. They are the soil from which new life can grow, if only you dare to trust. This is why prayer matters. Prayer is not a ritual of empty words. It is the most intimate conversation of the heart. It is the lifeline that connects earth to heaven, despair to hope, weakness to strength. When you pray, you are not speaking into the void. You are speaking to the one who knows your name, who counts every tear, and who is able to turn what seems impossible into a testimony of grace. Faith is the bridge that carries your pain to the heart of God, and prayer is the step you take across it. So as the morning light slowly fills the sky, I invite you to open your heart. Lay down the burdens you have carried alone. Set aside the fear that has kept you bound. Allow yourself to believe again, even if your faith feels as small as a whisper. This moment is an invitation, not to escape reality, to see it through the eyes of eternity. You are not abandoned. You are not invisible. You are being drawn into a conversation with the very source of life. Let this be the beginning of a sacred journey, a journey where every word, every pause, and every breath can become an offering. A journey that does not depend on your strength, but on the endless strength of the one who hears. Step forward with courage, and let your spirit be lifted. The dawn has broken, and with it comes the promise of new hope. It is time to enter into prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I come before you in the quiet of this morning with a heart that feels weighed down. The world has barely awakened, yet my soul already trembles under the weight of worry and need. I feel the emptiness of my own strength, the limits of what I can do, and the sharp sting of not knowing how to take the next step. There are moments when I look at the day ahead and see only obstacles. There are bills that wait, conversations that carry pressure, and fears that whisper that I will not make it through. The silence of dawn is filled with questions I cannot answer, and sometimes it feels as if my hope is fading before the sun has even risen. Yet even in this frailty I turn to you. I do not come pretending to be strong. I do not hide the truth of my need. I lay it bare, knowing that you already see it. You see the hidden corners of my heart, the nights I cannot sleep, the tears that fall without sound. You know the ache of longing for security, the cry for peace when fear presses in. You see the weight I carry for my loved ones, the desire to protect them from lack, and the quiet shame that comes when I feel I am not enough. Still, here in this fragile place, I call on you. Dear Father, I need your presence in this very moment. I need the assurance that you are here with me, that I am not abandoned to figure out everything on my own. I reach for you the way a drowning person reaches for air, desperate for the life only you can give. I do not have answers, but I believe you are the answer. I do not see the path forward, but I trust that you hold the map in your hand. I am overwhelmed by the storm, yet I know that you are the calm that speaks peace to the waves. I remember that you are the one who never turns away from those who cry out. You are the God who listened to the voice of Hannah when she poured out her soul, the one who provided manna for the people wandering in the desert, the one who multiplies the smallest offering into abundance. If you could feed a multitude with a few loaves and fish, surely you can meet me here in my lack. If you could open a spring of water in a wilderness, surely you can open a way where there seems to be none. My trust is not in the little I have, but in the greatness of who you are. I confess that my faith is not always steady. I am easily shaken when I look at what surrounds me. Fear shouts louder than trust, and doubt tries to silence the whispers of hope. But even so, I lift my voice to you this morning. Even trembling words are still prayers, and even small faith is still faith. If all I can bring you is a heart that is honest in its weakness, then let that be my offering today. I ask you to meet me here, in the emptiness, in the beginning of the day when my spirit feels tired before the work has begun. I long for the assurance that I am seen. I long to know that the struggle has meaning, and that you are shaping something greater through it. I long to feel your nearness like sunlight breaking through heavy clouds. Remind me that you are not far away, but closer than the very breath I take. Whisper into my soul that my story is not finished, that this moment of need is not the final chapter, but the soil where new life will grow. Help me to believe that even now, when nothing looks different, you are already at work in ways unseen. Dear Father, I surrender the weight I cannot carry. I place before you the fear of not having enough, the pressure of unanswered questions, the grief of feeling alone in my battle. I do not know how you will make a way, but I trust that you will. I give you my open hands and my fragile heart. Teach me to rest in your strength rather than striving in my weakness. Teach me to let go of control and lean into the mystery of your care. This morning, as the light slowly spreads across the horizon, I choose to trust that your mercy is new with every sunrise. I choose to believe that you are faithful even when my circumstances seem unyielding. I choose to believe that you hear me now, not because I have the perfect words, but because you are a loving Father who delights in every cry of your children. Let this prayer be the first breath of the day that anchors me to you. Let this moment of surrender open the door to hope, so that even in the face of despair, I may walk forward with courage, holding onto the truth that I am never alone. Lord, as the morning stretches further across the sky, I continue from where I left my heart open to you. I cannot hide the sound that rises from within me. It is not polished or refined, but raw and trembling, a cry that escapes because silence can no longer contain it. Yesterday's burdens seem to have followed me into this day, and the shadows of fear still linger. My voice shakes as I speak, but I offer it to you, believing that even the broken cry of the soul reaches your ears. I call out because there are moments when the weight of life presses so heavily that it feels unbearable. The uncertainty of tomorrow gnaws at my peace. The disappointments of the past whisper that nothing will change. The present feels like a valley with no clear path upward. I find myself staring at closed doors, wondering if they will ever open. Father, I lift this cry to you not because I have strength, but because I have none. My weakness leaves me with no choice but to depend on the one who never wearies. My heart aches with the fear of failure, the fear of letting down those who trust me, the fear that my efforts will never be enough. There are nights when my mind races in endless circles, replaying what went wrong, questioning what I could have done differently. The silence of those hours magnifies every doubt, and the darkness feels louder than hope. Yet in this moment, I choose to turn that turmoil into a prayer. I do not wish to drown in it. I place it into your hands, trusting that you can hold what I cannot. I remember the psalmist who said, "Out of the depths I cry to you. O Lord, hear my voice." My own cry joins that ancient chorus. It is not a song of victory yet, but a lament that still believes there is one who listens. My words may falter, but my soul still clings to you. My spirit still hopes that you will bend down and hear. God, I ask you not to pass by my voice in this early hour. Let my cry rise like incense before you, fragile but sincere. There are wounds in me that words cannot describe. Some are fresh, others buried for years, yet they resurface when I am weary. I cry because I long for healing where scars remain tender. I cry because the questions of why and when haunt me. I cry because the silence of answers feels heavy. Still, I believe that tears are a language you understand. Every drop that falls is counted by you. Every sigh that escapes unnoticed by others is known to you. You are the keeper of sorrows, the healer of hidden pain. This cry is not only for myself, but for those I carry in my heart. For loved ones who are walking through their own valleys. For friends who feel forgotten. For strangers whose suffering I can only imagine. Their pain echoes in me, and I bring it all before you. Lord, I ask that my cry might somehow stand in the gap for them, that my voice joined with theirs might rise together to your throne. Do not let them feel alone in their struggle. Wrap them in the assurance that they are seen, held, and loved. God, I acknowledge that my cry may not change my situation immediately, but it changes me. It reminds me that I am not meant to carry life in silence. It draws me out of isolation and into communion with you. My cry is proof that my faith, though fragile, is alive. If I had no hope, I would not lift my voice at all. So even in despair, this cry is a testimony of belief, a seed planted in tears that one day may bloom in joy. I come with nothing to offer but honesty. Honesty about my fear, my exhaustion, my longing for relief. Honesty about my mistakes and regrets. Honesty about my inability to fix what is broken. Yet I also come with the smallest spark of trust that you are moved by sincerity more than perfection. You see past the trembling voice and hear the heart that beats behind it. As the sun climbs higher, I let this cry fill the morning air. It may not be beautiful, but it is real. It is the sound of a child calling to a father, the sound of need laid bare without pretense. I believe that you bend close to such cries, that you do not despise them, but hold them tenderly. Let this cry open the way for your presence to meet me here. Let it pierce through the silence and remind me that I am not abandoned in the depths. So I continue, Lord, unashamed of my weakness, unafraid to weep, unafraid to raise my voice even when words are scarce. I lift this cry to you and wait, not with despair, but with the fragile hope that you are already moving. I choose to believe that in your time, the sound of my cry will be met with the sound of your answer. And until that moment, I will keep calling out to you in the depths. Father, as my cry still lingers in the air, I let my heart turn toward memory. Out of the depths I called to you, and now I remind myself of the times you have already answered. In the middle of fear, it is easy to forget, but this morning I choose to recall the ways you have carried me before. I remember seasons when the night was long, and I thought I would not see the morning. Yet you brought me through. I remember prayers whispered in secret that seemed too small to matter. Yet you wove them into answers greater than I imagined. These memories are not distant stories. They are living proof that you have been faithful. I think of the times when my resources seemed gone and help came in unexpected ways. A bill was due and provision arrived at the final moment. Strength ran out and peace came like a quiet river, steadying my soul. I did not always understand how, but I knew who. You were there, working behind what I could see, opening doors I could not force open, sending people I did not expect. God, I hold on to these moments as stones of remembrance. Like the Israelites who set markers after crossing the river so they would not forget, my own life has its markers too. Each one a sign that you are the God who provides. I recall how Abraham lifted the knife with trembling hands, believing you would still be true to your promise. At the last moment, you showed yourself as the one who provides. The ram caught in the thicket. That story reminds me that even when circumstances seem irreversible, you have another way. I remember the widow who gave the last of her flour and oil, only to discover that her jar never emptied. Her obedience and trust revealed your abundance in the middle of famine. These stories are not myths. They are anchors for me. They remind me that the same God who provided for them is the same God who listens to me today. When I feel surrounded by lack, I remember the boy who offered his lunch, and how you multiplied it until thousands were fed with more left over. What seems insufficient in my hands becomes more than enough in yours. My cry is not the end. My remembrance is the beginning of hope. Each story I call to mind is like a candle lit against the darkness, proof that light still shines. You are not a distant God who once acted but no longer cares. You are the same yesterday, today, and forever, the faithful one who delights to provide for your children. Lord, I also remember the hidden ways you have carried me when I was unaware. There were dangers I did not see, accidents avoided, opportunities preserved. There were times when doors closed and I mourned, only to later realize you were protecting me from harm. Memory is not always immediate, but when I pause, I can see your fingerprints all over my story. You are the unseen hand guiding, the quiet voice whispering, the steady presence holding me upright when I thought I would fall. These remembrances are treasures, not to be hoarded, but to be lifted back to you in gratitude. My heart softens as I reflect. Where fear once shouted, now remembrance speaks louder. Where despair claimed to have the final word, now testimony interrupts. I am not abandoned, because you have proven again and again that you remain close. Every answered prayer in the past is a reminder that this present need is not forgotten. You who provided then will provide now. You who opened the heavens before are still able to rain down blessings today. My memory fuels my trust. I hold these recollections like seeds in my hands, planting them in the soil of this morning. I believe that the harvest of trust will grow from them. If you fed the Israelites daily with bread from heaven, I believe you will feed me with what I need today. If you gave wisdom to Solomon when he asked, I believe you can guide my choices now. If you restored those who turned back to you, I believe you can restore me in my weakness. These memories are not simply history. They are promises alive in the present. So I lift my heart to you with gratitude, even as I wait. Gratitude that remembers the good when fear tries to erase it. Gratitude that speaks of your faithfulness when my circumstances try to convince me otherwise. Gratitude that transforms my cry into a song of trust. Even if the melody shakes, I do not forget. Lord, I will not let despair rob me of memory. I will hold fast to what you have done and let it carry me toward what you will do. This morning becomes holy ground because remembrance changes the way I see. My tears may still fall, but they mingle with thanksgiving. My needs may remain, but they rest upon the foundation of past provision. I can face the day not because I am strong, but because you have always been strong for me. What you have done before is a promise that you will not leave me now. And as I remember, hope rises like the sun breaking through the horizon, warming the cold corners of my soul and leading me forward into trust. God, as I remember your faithfulness and provision from the past, something stirs within me. Out of those memories grows the courage to take a step forward. However small, what once felt like bare soil now feels like a place where something can be planted. My remembrance gives birth to a choice, the choice to sow faith. Even when I do not yet see the harvest, this seed is not large. It does not look powerful, but I know it carries the potential to become more than I can imagine when it rests in your hands. I acknowledge that faith often feels fragile. It does not erase my questions, nor does it always silence my fears, Yet faith is still alive even when trembling. A seed is small, hidden beneath the ground, unseen for a time, yet within it lies the mystery of life waiting to emerge. Father, that is how my faith feels today. It may be buried under the weight of my doubts, but it is not dead. It is still capable of growth, still capable of breaking through the surface, still capable of reaching for the light of your presence. I think of the farmer who steps into a barren field, holding seed in his hand. He does not see fruit yet, but he sows because he trusts in the seasons you designed. He trusts that rain will fall, that the sun will rise, that the soil will respond. In the same way, I choose to scatter seeds of trust through my words this morning. Each prayer I lift is a seed. Each declaration of your goodness is a seed. Each surrender of my fear is a seed. And though my field may look empty now, I trust that in time there will be growth. Lord, you once said that faith as small as a mustard seed can move mountains. That truth reassures me that what I offer today, though little, is not wasted. My seed of faith may not impress anyone, but it is enough for you to work with. It is enough for you to water and to multiply till it becomes something greater than I could ever create on my own. I choose not to despise the small beginnings, because I know that you delight in them. What is small to me is precious to you. I plant this seed not only in words, but in choices. I choose to believe when circumstances suggest otherwise. I choose to speak life where negativity wants to take root. I choose to hold on to hope when despair would rather take its place. These choices are not always easy, but they are acts of planting. Each one a declaration that I trust you more than what I see. I believe that even when the soil of my life feels dry, your Spirit brings the nourishment needed for growth. Father, I ask you to guard these seeds of faith within me. Protect them from the storms of doubt that would wash them away. Shield them from the voices of fear that would trample them before they sprout. Teach me to water them with gratitude, to tend them with patience, to wait with expectation rather than despair. Help me to see that even when nothing appears to be happening above the surface, transformation is already taking place in the hidden places where your hand works. I do not want my life to remain barren. I want it to be a field filled with evidence of your goodness. I want others to look and see that faith, though small, produced fruit that could only have come from you. Let this harvest be not only for my own benefit, but for those around me, so that they too may be nourished and strengthened. May my story become a testimony that encourages others to sow their own seeds of faith, trusting that you will meet them in their waiting. God, I admit that patience is not easy. Waiting feels long, especially when needs are urgent. Yet I choose to wait like the farmer who does not give up after planting, who continues to rise each day with expectation. Teach me to resist the temptation to dig up what I have planted out of fear it is not working. Instead, let me rest in the assurance that you are faithful, that you are never late, that growth takes time but is always worth it. This morning I place my seed of faith into your care. It may look small, but I know it is enough for you to move mountains, enough for you to open doors, enough for you to turn emptiness into abundance. I do not measure its worth by its size, but by the one in whom it is planted. My confidence is not in the seed itself, but in the God who makes all things grow. So here I am, Lord, offering what I have. It may be only a whisper of trust, but it is real. It may be only a trembling prayer, but it is honest. Receive it, breathe on it, and let it become the beginning of something beautiful. Let it break through the soil of my doubt and stretch toward the light of your faithfulness. And as I watch and wait, let my heart be steady, knowing that what I plant in you will never be in vain. Father, as I place the small seed of faith into your hands, I find comfort in knowing that you see it. Nothing hidden escapes your gaze, and nothing offered in quiet surrender goes unnoticed. My life may sometimes feel insignificant. My prayers may feel too weak, but you are the God who sees. You saw Hagar in the wilderness when she thought no one cared, and you spoke to her heart in her despair. In the same way, you see me now, not only in what I reveal, but in what I try to hide. There are moments when loneliness wraps itself around me like a heavy garment. I wonder if anyone truly notices the battles I fight, the tears I shed in silence, the struggles I cannot explain to others. Yet you are present even in those hidden places. You see the pain that I mask with a smile, the exhaustion I cover with routine, the fears I silence so no one else will worry. You are never blind to the truth of my heart. That assurance brings a tenderness I cannot describe. Lord, I lift this morning to you with the awareness that your eyes are full of compassion. You do not look with judgment to condemn, but with mercy to restore. Where I see failure, you see possibility. Where I see weakness, you see a soul that still longs for you. Where I see emptiness, you see a vessel waiting to be filled. Your sight does not expose me to shame, but covers me with grace. Knowing that you see me gives me the courage to stop hiding, to come as I am and trust that I am fully known and yet fully loved. I recall how you saw the widow who gave her last 2 coins. Others may have overlooked her offering, but you recognized her sacrifice as greater than all the rest. That story reminds me that even when what I give seems small, you see the heart behind it. Nothing is wasted, not even the smallest act of faith. My prayers may not be eloquent, my faith may not be bold, but you see their sincerity. That is enough for you, God. I ask you to help me live with the awareness that I am always before your eyes. When I walk through the day and feel invisible, remind me that you are watching with care. When I doubt that my efforts matter, remind me that you count every step, every choice, every act of kindness. When I am tempted to believe the lie that I am forgotten, remind me that my name is engraved on the palms of your hands. Your sight is not fleeting, it is eternal. I also ask you to help me see myself as you see me. Too often I measure my worth by achievements, possessions, or the approval of others. Too often I let fear and shame distort my reflection. But you look at me through eyes of love that do not change with circumstance. Teach me to receive that gaze and to believe it. Teach me to live not in pursuit of being noticed by the world, but in the joy of being seen by you. Father, your sight brings healing. Just as Jesus looked upon the blind man and restored his vision, look upon me and restore my soul. where despair clouds my perspective. Clear it with the light of your presence. Where hopelessness blinds me, open my eyes to see possibilities again. Where fear narrows my vision, expand it to glimpse the horizon of your promises. Let me see not only that you are watching over me, but that you are inviting me to see through your eyes. I long to see others with the same compassion you show to me. If you notice the forgotten and the broken, help me to notice them too. If you draw near to the lonely, teach me to extend kindness to those who feel unseen. Let my life reflect the vision of a God who cares deeply for every soul. Let me be part of the assurance that no one is invisible, that every life matters. This morning I rest in the knowledge that I am not overlooked, even when I feel hidden by circumstances. You are the God who sees. Even when my prayers are whispered so softly that no one else could hear, they rise before you as clear as a shout. Even when my needs are buried deep inside, you perceive them fully. That truth steadies me and quiets my fear. I do not need to strive to be noticed, for I already am. So I lift my eyes to meet yours. I let the weight of being unseen fall away, and I breathe in the peace of being known. I trust that your gaze is not distant but near, not cold but tender, not fleeting but everlasting. You see me in this moment, in this prayer, in this fragile place, and that is enough. With that assurance, I step into the day, carrying the truth that my life is always held in the sight of a loving God. Lord, as I rest in the truth that you see me fully and never look away, I realize how often fear still clings to my heart. Even knowing that I am not forgotten, I sometimes hold on tightly to worry as if it were a shield, though it only weighs me down. Fear whispers that provision will not come, that I will be left alone, that tomorrow will collapse before I reach it. I confess that I often listen to those voices more than I listen to yours. This morning, I bring those fears into the light of your presence, asking you to help me release what was never meant to control me. I think of how easily fear takes root. It begins as a small thought and quickly grows, twisting into images of failure, rejection, or loss. It grips the body with tension, clouds the mind with restless questions, and drains the soul of peace. Father, you know how many nights I have lain awake rehearsing worst-case scenarios, unable to quiet my spirit. You know how many mornings I have carried dread into the day before it even began. And yet you have told me not to be anxious. Not because the world is without struggle, but because you are greater than every struggle. God, I long to exchange fear for trust. I long to unclench the fists that grip so tightly to control and instead open my hands to receive your peace. I cannot pretend I do not feel afraid, but I can choose not to let fear be the ruler of my heart. I can choose to bring it before you and place it down, even if I must do so again and again. Let this be the morning I begin to live lighter, no longer carrying the weight of constant worry. Let this be the moment when faith grows stronger than fear. I remember the story of the disciples in the boat, terrified of the storm. The waves roared, the winds howled, and they thought they would sink. Yet you rose and spoke peace to the sea, and it obeyed. Lord, I believe you still speak peace into storms today. The winds of anxiety and the waves of fear are no match for your authority. Speak over my heart the same words. Be still. Let those words echo within me until the storm quiets, until I learn to rest even when the waters around me rage. Father, I ask you to remind me that fear does not define me. Too often I let it become my identity, as though I am destined to be a person ruled by worry. But you have not given me a spirit of fear. You have given me a spirit of power, of love, and of a sound mind. That is the truth I want to live by. When I feel fear rise, let me remember that I belong to you, and in your love there is no room for torment. Teach me to step forward not in trembling but in confidence that your perfect love casts out fear. I release to you the fear of lack, the fear of failure, the fear of the unknown. I release the fear of not being enough, the fear of disappointing others, the fear of tomorrow. Each one I name and surrender to you. Like heavy stones, I no longer want to carry. In their place, I ask you to fill me with peace, with quiet assurance that no matter what unfolds, you will be with me, even if the path bends in ways I did not expect. I will not walk it alone. Your presence will steady my steps, and your hand will guide me forward. Lord, help me to notice when fear begins to creep back into my thoughts, and remind me quickly to turn it into prayer instead of letting it grow unchecked. Let fear become the very signal that I need to draw nearer to you, to place my confidence not in myself, but in your faithfulness. Teach me that fear is not a verdict, only an invitation to trust more deeply. Let it drive me closer to your heart rather than further into isolation. This morning, I breathe deeply and let fear slip away like smoke dissolving in the air. I choose to inhale your peace, to let it fill the empty spaces that worry once occupied. I will not hold on to what destroys me when you offer me what sustains me. I choose to believe that your promises are stronger than my panic, that your provision is greater than my lack, that your love is deeper than my doubt. Fear may knock at the door, but I will not welcome it to stay. So I lift my eyes beyond the shadows of what could go wrong and fix them on the light of who you are. I let go of fear not by my strength, but by resting in yours. I trust that you will hold me steady, that you will meet my needs, that you will never abandon me. And as I walk into the day, I carry not dread but courage, not worry but hope, not fear but faith. God, as I release the grip of fear into your hands, something inside me begins to shift. Where worry once clouded my sight, I start to notice the faint glow of hope rising in the distance. It is not yet midday brightness, but a gentle light breaking through the edge of the horizon, steady and persistent. That light reminds me that even when the night feels long, dawn always comes. Even when despair whispers that nothing will change, the earth testifies with every sunrise that renewal is certain. Father, I thank you for this glimpse of promise. It does not remove every burden, but it changes the way I carry them. The light on the horizon does not erase the storm, yet it tells me that storms do not last forever. It does not remove the valley, but assures me that valleys eventually open into wide fields. Hope begins small, like a spark in the darkness, but when it is nurtured it grows until it pushes back the shadows. That is what I sense this morning, a quiet reminder that there is more ahead than what I see now. I think of how a traveler lost in the wilderness feels when he sees the faint glimmer of a lantern in the distance. His steps are heavy, his strength nearly gone, but that light draws him forward. It does not change the terrain immediately, but it gives him reason to continue. Lord, that is what your promises are for me. They shine just enough to keep me moving, reminding me that I am not walking aimlessly, but toward a future you have prepared. I remember how the Israelites followed the pillar of fire at night. That light guided them when the path was hidden, showing them that they were not forsaken in the desert. I believe you still give such light today. It may not be fire in the sky, but it is the gentle illumination of your presence, leading me step by step. Even when I cannot see the full picture, I can see enough to keep going. Even when I cannot understand every detail, I can trust that you are the one holding the lamp before my feet. Lord, I ask you to train my eyes to look for light instead of focusing only on shadows. Teach me to notice even the smallest signs of your faithfulness, to celebrate the beginnings of change rather than despising them. Help me not to overlook the subtle ways you show up: a kind word, an unexpected provision, a moment of peace that arrives unannounced. These are rays of light that pierce through the heaviness, evidence that you are near. Hope is fragile, and I confess that I sometimes let it slip away when circumstances seem overwhelming. But this morning, I hold on to it like a lifeline. The horizon does not shout. It whispers. It calls me to trust that what is barely visible will one day become undeniable. Father, let that whisper of light sink into the core of who I am. Let it remind me that no matter how deep the night, it is not final. You are already preparing the dawn. I do not ask you to make my path effortless, but I ask you to keep the horizon in view. When I grow weary, let me lift my head and see the glow of your promises. When I feel lost, let me remember that the horizon always points me forward. When fear tries to return, let me answer it with the steady truth that your light has already broken through. The horizon may still be far, but it is real. And knowing that is enough to strengthen my steps. God, let this light not only encourage me, but also shine through me. There are others walking in shadows, others weighed down by fear and sorrow. If my life can reflect even a fraction of the hope you give me, then let me be a lighthouse for them. Let my words, my actions, and my faith become beacons that point them toward you. Just as light on the horizon lifts my spirit, may I help lift the spirits of those around me, reminding them that they too are not abandoned. This morning, as I breathe in the quiet air and feel the world slowly awaken, I choose to walk toward that light. I choose to believe that what begins as a faint glow will one day flood my life with clarity and joy. I choose to trust that you are not only the God who sees, but also the God who guides, the one who turns darkness into morning. So I will keep my eyes fixed ahead, steadying my heart with the assurance that the horizon holds more than I can imagine, and the light I see now is only the beginning of what is to come. Father, as I lift my eyes to the light on the horizon and feel hope stirring within me, I sense that now is the time to let my voice rise with conviction. No longer only whispers of fear, no longer only cries from the depths, but bold declarations that shape the atmosphere around me. Hope has awakened something inside, and I know I cannot remain silent. What I speak matters, for words carry life or death, blessing or despair. This morning I choose life. I choose to declare your promises aloud until they become louder than the doubts that try to drown me. Lord, I declare that you are faithful. I declare that your love is unshakable, that your mercy is new every morning, that your provision will not fail. These are not empty words, but truths rooted in who you are. I speak them not to convince you, but to remind my own soul of the reality it so easily forgets. When fear presses in, I will declare peace. When lack looms, I will declare abundance. When darkness threatens, I will declare light. Each declaration is a seed of faith given voice, and with every word I feel strength returning. I think of how you spoke the world into existence. With a word, light pierced the void, and life began to bloom. If creation itself was born through your spoken command, then my words, aligned with yours, hold power too, not power of my own, but power that comes from agreeing what you have already promised. Just as breath entered dry bones in the valley, when your word was spoken through the prophet, so too can life enter the dry places of my soul when I declare your truth over them. God, I declare that fear will not rule me. I declare that anxiety has no final word, that despair cannot take root in my heart. I declare that I am not abandoned, not unseen, not forgotten, but chosen, loved, and carried by your hand. I declare that even in the wilderness there will be streams, that even in famine there will be provision, that even in loss there will be restoration. These words are not wishful thinking, but anchors tied to your character, which never fails. I confess that it feels strange to speak with boldness when I do not yet see the outcome. Yet that is the essence of faith, to call forth what is unseen, to declare what will be before it fully arrives. The horizon may still be far, but I will speak as though the light is already upon me. For in your time, the light will break forth in fullness, and my declarations today will be the testimony of tomorrow. Lord, help me to use this voice not only for myself, but for others who cannot yet find their strength. Let my declarations extend over loved ones, over friends in despair, over strangers in need. Let me speak blessing where there has been cursing, encouragement where there has been silence, healing where there has been wounding. Let my words be an extension of your compassion, carrying the fragrance of hope to those who long for it. I declare that my life will not be wasted, that my story will not end in defeat, that even the broken pieces will be gathered into something beautiful. I declare that you will open doors no one can shut, that you will provide in ways I cannot predict, that you will lead me to places of rest and renewal. I declare that peace will guard my mind, that joy will strengthen my spirit, that love will flow from me because it flows first from you. Father, keep me from speaking words that tear down what you are building. Guard my lips from negativity that poisons the seed of faith. Let my declarations align with your heart, not my fears. Teach me that silence in the face of doubt allows it to grow, but spoken truth cuts through its grip. Let me remember that my words are not powerless. They are weapons of light in a world so often shadowed by despair. this morning. I will not stay quiet. I will speak until my own heart believes, until the walls of fear crumble, until hope becomes louder than hesitation. I declare that I am yours, and nothing can separate me from your love. I declare that today is filled with possibility because you are in it. I declare that tomorrow holds promise because you go before me. I declare that even now, unseen, you are working all things for good, so I raise my voice without shame, without hesitation, believing that what I speak in faith you will water with grace. I declare not because I am strong, but because you are. I declare not because circumstances have changed, but because I trust they will. I declare because hope has risen, light has broken through, and my soul refuses to return to silence. Lord, as I raise my voice in declarations of truth and hope, I feel a deeper confidence that you are not only the God who sees and provides, but also the God who multiplies. My words alone cannot change the world, but when they align with your promises, they open space for your power to move. And now, as I place my faith into action, I dare to believe that what little I have can become more than enough in your hands. Father, so often I measure my life by scarcity. I look at my resources and see only limits, counting what I lack instead of trusting what you can create. Yet again you have shown that you are the one who takes the smallest offering and expands it beyond imagination. A boy's lunch became a feast for thousands, and jars nearly empty overflowed when surrendered to your instruction. You never despised the little. Instead, you transformed it. That same power is still alive today, and I open my heart to it. God, I bring before you what seems insufficient: my time, my energy, my finances, my strength. To me, they look like fragments, broken pieces that cannot accomplish what is needed, but to you they are seeds of abundance. When I surrender them, they become part of a story much greater than my own. I ask you to multiply what I entrust to you, not for selfish gain, but so that your goodness may be revealed in every corner of my life. I confess that sometimes I hesitate to give because I fear there will not be enough left for me. Yet you remind me that generosity is the key to multiplication. What I release does not vanish. It becomes the soil for new growth. Help me to loosen my grip on what I cling to so tightly and place it into your capable hands. Teach me to trust that you can do more with my surrender than I can with my control. Lord, I believe that multiplication is not only about material things, but about every part of life touched by your presence. A single act of kindness can ripple into countless hearts. A single prayer whispered in faith can open doors for many. A single seed of love planted in pain can produce a harvest of reconciliation. I want my life to be fertile ground where small acts, surrendered to you, bear fruit that nourishes many. I declare this morning that nothing placed into your hands is wasted. Every sacrifice, every offering, every choice of faith carries within it the potential for multiplication. You are the God who turns scarcity into plenty, weakness into strength, and emptiness into overflowing abundance. And so I choose to believe that even now you are multiplying what I have given, preparing blessings far greater than I can see. Father, When I feel like I am standing with too little, remind me of the disciples who placed 5 loaves and 2 fish into your hands. They could not comprehend how such a small meal could feed thousands. But when you blessed it, it became more than enough. Let me remember that blessing always precedes multiplication. Teach me to bless what I have instead of despising it, to thank you for small beginnings instead of mourning what is absent. Gratitude prepares the way for increase. I long to see this principle unfold in every area of my life. Multiply my faith so that I may encourage others. Multiply my peace so that it overflows to those around me. Multiply my resources so that I may give generously. Multiply my joy so that it becomes a light in places of despair. Let multiplication not only change my circumstances, but also transform me into a vessel of blessing. God, keep me from the temptation to measure results too quickly. Multiplication often happens quietly, unseen at first, like seeds sprouting beneath the soil. Patience is required before the harvest appears. Help me to trust the process, to keep sowing, to keep believing, to keep thanking you while the increase is still hidden. Remind me that in due season, the harvest will come, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So this morning, I surrender the little I have with expectancy. I open my hands not in fear, but in hope, believing that you will take what seems insignificant and use it for purposes far beyond my reach. I trust that what you multiply in my life will not end with me, but will spill over into others. Bringing encouragement, provision, and renewal. I walk forward with confidence that you are the God of multiplication, and nothing placed in your hands ever remains the same. Father, as I reflect on how you take the little I place in your hands and multiply it into more than I can imagine, I realize that your provision often appears in the most unlikely places. You are not bound by scarcity or by the dryness that surrounds me. You are the one who creates streams in wastelands, the one who draws water from the hard rock, the one who turns a barren land into a place of life. When I feel as though I am wandering through a desert with nothing left to sustain me, you remind me that even here, there are hidden wells waiting to be discovered. Lord, I confess that the wilderness seasons of life feel overwhelming, when opportunities vanish and familiar paths disappear. I struggle to believe that there could still be hope. The desert is lonely, vast, and silent, and it tempts me to think that nothing good can grow in such an empty place. Yet time and again, you have shown that deserts are not abandoned spaces. They are the very ground where you reveal your faithfulness in ways I would never see otherwise. If you could rain manna from heaven for your people in the wilderness, then surely you can nourish me in my own desolate places. God, I ask you to open my eyes to the wells you have already prepared for me. I may see only dryness, but I know that beneath the surface lies living water. Just as Hagar wept in the wilderness, believing her son would die of thirst, you opened her eyes to see the well that was there all along. In the same way, I believe that provision already surrounds me, though fear blinds me to it. Show me where to dig, where to listen, where to drink deeply of what you have supplied. Father, I also ask for the strength to keep walking when the desert feels endless. The heat of trials can weaken my resolve, and the barrenness of circumstances can tempt me to sit down and give up. Yet I know that every step carries me closer to the well you have prepared. Keep me moving forward with faith, even when my lips are parched and my spirit longs for refreshment. Teach me to walk with the quiet confidence that there is water ahead, that you will not let me perish in the dry land. I think of the words spoken through the prophet Isaiah, promising that those who trust in you will become like a well-watered garden, like springs whose waters never fail. That promise lifts me today, reminding me that I am not destined to wither in the heat, but to flourish under your care. The desert may surround me, but it does not define me. The dryness may challenge me, but it will not have the final word. Your spirit is the living water that renews me from within, transforming my soul even before the landscape around me changes. Lord, I believe that deserts can become places of encounter. It was in the wilderness that Moses met you at the burning bush. It was in the wilderness that prophets heard your still, small voice. It was in the wilderness that your son fasted and overcame temptation. If deserts can hold such holy moments, then I choose not to despise mine. Let me meet you here. Let me discover that the absence of distractions becomes the place where your presence is most vivid. God, I surrender the bitterness I sometimes feel when life feels dry and fruitless. Instead, I ask for gratitude for the hidden wells you provide each day. Perhaps it is the unexpected encouragement from a friend, the peace that arrives without explanation, or the strength that surprises me when I thought could not go on. These are wells, gifts of refreshment placed in the path of my journey. Help me to recognize them, to draw from them, and to thank you for them. Father, let the water I receive not remain only for me. Teach me to share it, to refresh others who walk their own deserts. Make me generous with the hope I carry, so that my life becomes a stream for those who thirst. If you have called me to be like a spring that never runs dry, then let my words and actions pour life into weary hearts. Let me be a reminder to others that even in barren places, your presence sustains and your provision never ends. So this morning, I lift my eyes from the dust of the desert to the promise of living water. I trust that wells will appear where I least expect them, that rivers will break forth in the wilderness, and that you will lead me to places of rest. I will not let the dryness of this season convince me that you are absent, for you are here, even now, carving streams into the hard ground of my life. With every sip of your grace, I find the strength to continue, the courage to believe, and the joy to hope again. Lord, as I drink from the wells you provide in dry places, I realize that refreshment is not only a gift to be received, but also a trust to be managed. Every drop of provision, every breath of strength, every moment of peace is a treasure entrusted to me, and I need wisdom to steward it well. Abundance is not meant to be wasted, and even scarcity can be shaped into something fruitful when guided by your hand. I ask you this morning not only for resources, but for discernment to handle them in a way that honors you. Father, I confess that without wisdom, I often misuse what you place in my care. I run ahead without direction, or I hold back out of fear, and both lead to loss. I have treated blessings as though they were accidents rather than assignments. I have taken provision for granted rather than recognizing it as an invitation to trust you more deeply. Teach me that what you give is not random, but purposeful. Show me how to use every gift, whether great or small, in ways that multiply its impact rather than diminish it. God, I think of Solomon, who asked not for riches or power, but for wisdom to govern well. His request pleased you because it showed that he valued your guidance above earthly gain. In the same way, I ask you for wisdom that is pure, peaceable, gentle, and full of mercy. Wisdom that does not boast but serves. Wisdom that protects me from greed and guards me from waste. Wisdom that allows me to handle both plenty and need with the same spirit of gratitude and faith. I know that stewardship is not only about finances, but about every area of life. How I spend my time, how I treat my body, how I use my words, how I nurture relationships, all these require wisdom. Lord, give me eyes to see that each choice I make is a seed planted, and each seed carries consequences for tomorrow. Help me to plant wisely, to choose paths that bear good fruit, to resist the temptation of quick gains that leave me empty. Let me live with the long view in mind, knowing that what I do with what I have today shapes the harvest of the future. Father, I ask you to help me recognize the difference between what I want and what I need. Desires often cloud my vision, convincing me that satisfaction lies in accumulation. But true abundance comes not from having everything I want, but from using well what I already hold. Teach me to live with open hands that are willing to receive, willing to give, and willing to release. Keep me from clinging so tightly to temporary things that I lose sight of eternal values. Lord, give me wisdom to steward my words carefully. Words can build or destroy, heal or wound, encourage or crush. Let my speech be seasoned with grace, thoughtful and intentional. Remind me that silence can sometimes be the wisest response, and that speaking truth in love carries more power than shouting from fear. May my words reflect the same compassion you have shown me, becoming tools of life rather than instruments of harm. I also ask for wisdom to steward my relationships. The people you have placed in my life are not there by accident. Some need encouragement, some need forgiveness, some need patience, and some simply need presence. Help me not to neglect these connections, but to tend them with care. Teach me to listen more than I speak, to honor more than I judge, to serve more than I demand. Let my relationships become reflections of your heart, shining with grace and humility. God, I know that wisdom is often found in stillness. When I rush, I make careless choices. When I pause, I hear your direction. Teach me to quiet the noise of my mind, so I can discern your voice. Remind me that wisdom is not only knowledge, but perspective, seeing as you see, valuing what you value, aligning with what lasts beyond this moment. This morning I surrender my plans, my resources, my energy, and my influence into your hands. I ask not only for blessing, but for the wisdom to handle blessing well. If you open doors, let me walk through them with humility. If you entrust me with increase, let me distribute it with generosity. If you call me to wait, let me do so with patience. Stewardship is not about control, but about trust. And I want my trust to rest firmly in you. So I rise today with a prayer not just for more, but for wisdom to use what I already have with care, gratitude, and vision. Let every choice become an offering, every resource a tool, every relationship a reflection of your love. And as I walk forward, let my life tell the story of a person who knew that everything belongs to you, and that the highest wisdom is to live as a faithful steward of all you provide. God, as I ask you for wisdom to steward what you have entrusted to me, I recognize that even wisdom is not enough without surrender. My mind may see clearly, my hands may hold carefully, but unless I release control into your will, I will always struggle under the weight of my own limitations. This morning I come not with pride, but with open hands, confessing that surrender is not weakness, but strength. To yield to you is not to lose, but to be lifted into a life sustained by something greater than myself. Father, I confess how difficult it is to let go. I cling to plans I have shaped, to outcomes I desire, to paths I think are best. I hold them tightly as though I could secure them by my will alone. Yet deep down I know that my control is fragile. I cannot change the winds. I cannot command tomorrow. I cannot carry burdens beyond my strength. Still, I resist loosening my grip. Teach me that surrender is not the end of responsibility, but the beginning of trust. Teach me that the strongest hands are the ones open before you. Lord, I think of the garden where Jesus knelt, his soul pressed with anguish, yet his words steady, "Not my will, but yours be done." That moment was not defeat, but victory, because surrender opened the way for redemption. In the same way, my surrender today may feel like loss, but in your design, it is the soil where miracles grow. Help me to echo those words in my own life, not as a reluctant whisper, but as a courageous declaration. Let your will be done in me. I know surrender is not passive resignation, but active trust. It is the courage to lay down my weapons of control and believe that you fight for me. It is the strength to stop striving for approval and rest in the truth that I am already loved. It is the peace that comes when I place what I cannot solve into your care and choose to walk forward unburdened. Surrender is not about giving up. It is about giving over to the one who knows all things, sees all things, and holds all things together. God, I surrender my fears, my ambitions, my disappointments, my secret wounds. I surrender the timeline I try to dictate, the outcomes I try to demand, the identity I try to protect. All of these weigh me down when I carry them alone, but in your hands they can be transformed. Where I see failure, you see foundation. Where I see endings, you see beginnings. Where I see emptiness, you see space ready to be filled. In surrender, my perspective shifts from what I lose to what you create. Father, help me to trust that surrender is not wasted. Just as a seed must fall into the ground and die before it multiplies, so too must I release what I cling to if I want to see true life. Let me not fear the burial, for hidden beneath the soil lies resurrection. Let me not mourn the letting go, for what I give up returns as something greater. You are the Lord of transformation, and surrender is the doorway into that mystery. I ask you for courage to surrender daily, not just once in a dramatic moment, but again and in the ordinary choices. Teach me to surrender impatience by waiting with hope, surrender pride by choosing humility, surrender bitterness by forgiving, surrender exhaustion by resting in you. Let each act of surrender become a step toward freedom, loosening the chains I placed upon myself when I thought I could control everything. Lord, I long for my surrender to bear witness to your goodness. Let others see not weakness but freedom in the way I live. Let them recognize that joy comes not from clutching tightly but from opening fully. Let my life speak quietly but clearly of a God who lifts the surrendered heart higher than the one that resists. May those who feel burdened by their own striving find encouragement in the peace you give me through letting go. So this morning I choose release over control, trust over striving, rest over resistance. I lay down what is too heavy for me and place it into hands strong enough to hold the universe. I surrender not to emptiness, but to fullness, not to loss, but to love, not to despair, but to hope. And as I do, I feel strength rise not from myself, but from the one in whom surrender becomes the path to true victory. Father, after releasing all that I carried into your hands, I notice a quietness settling over my soul. The struggle to control, the restless energy of striving, the endless rehearsing of worries, all of it begins to fade into silence. What remains is stillness, calm space where I no longer feel the need to fight for every breath. This stillness is not empty. It is full of your presence. It is the peace that comes not from everything being resolved, but from a I know I no longer have to resolve it on my own. Lord, I admit that stillness once frightened me. I equated silence with absence, inactivity with abandonment. Yet in surrender, I begin to see that stillness is sacred. It is the pause where your whisper becomes audible, the quiet where your strength begins to steady me. In the noise, I often miss you, but in the stillness, I cannot escape the awareness that you are near. Teach me not to rush past this moment, but to linger, to let the calm wash over me until I am renewed. God, in this stillness, I remember that you are not hurried. You move with perfect timing, unshaken by my urgency. While I pace with impatience, you remain steady, reminding me that peace is not found in the absence of waiting, but in the presence of trust. Stillness is the soil where patience grows, and patience shapes me into someone who can carry blessing without breaking under its weight. This morning I yield to that work, choosing to rest instead of resist. Father, I think of the psalmist who wrote, "Be still and know that I am God." These words echo in my spirit now. They are not a gentle suggestion, but a holy invitation to stop striving, to release control, to recognize that you are sovereign. Knowing that you are God changes the way I see everything. It reminds me that my life does not rest on my performance, but on your promise. It assures me that my security is not in circumstances, but in your presence. Lord, this stillness is not inactivity, but intimacy. It is where I sense the beating of your heart, where I realize that prayer is not only about speaking, but about listening. In the quiet, I discover that you have been speaking all along, but I was too distracted to hear. Your words are not thunder, but gentle rain, softening the hard soil of my soul, preparing it for growth. Teach me to love the stillness enough to return to it daily, not as a rare pause, but as the rhythm of my life. God, I ask that you would transform this stillness into strength. Let it not end when I rise from prayer, but carry into the day ahead. Let it calm my reactions, steady my choices, and anchor my emotions. When conflict arises, let this stillness be the ground I stand upon. When fear tries to return, let this stillness remind me that you are greater. When demands press in, let this stillness remind me that not every battle is mine to fight. Father, I surrender even my restlessness to you. I lay down the compulsion to always act, always fix, always prove. I let the quiet become a reminder that I am loved apart from my striving. I am enough not because of what I do, but because I belong to you. In stillness I learn to rest in grace, to breathe deeply of mercy, to remember that my worth is secure. Lord, I long for this stillness to become not only personal, but also contagious. Let my life radiate the calm that comes from knowing you. Let my presence soothe rather than stir chaos. Bring peace instead of tension. Reflect trust instead of fear. May others find in me a glimpse of the quiet confidence that flows from resting in your love. Let my stillness become a gift, a reminder that peace is possible even in a restless world. So this morning I do not rush forward. I remain here a little longer, breathing in the calm, resting in the assurance that you are near. I let stillness shape me, holding me steady in ways I cannot see. I choose to believe that this quiet is not wasted but holy, not empty but overflowing with your presence. And as I rise from this place, I carry within me a silence that speaks louder than noise, the stillness that declares you are God, and that is enough. Lord, as stillness settles into my spirit and quiets the restless corners of my heart, I become more aware of the gentle current that holds me steady. It is not my discipline, not my resolve, not even the strength of my surrender. It is your grace, a strength that does not crush but carries, a power that does not demand but embraces, a force so tender that it feels like rest, yet so strong that it cannot be shaken. In the hush of this moment, I lean into that grace, letting it wrap around me like a steady arm that never lets me fall. Father, I admit that I often mistake strength for something loud, fierce, and unyielding. I expect it to roar, to strike, to dominate. But your grace teaches me another kind of strength, one that flows like a quiet river, carving valleys not by force but by persistence, nourishing life wherever it passes. Grace is patient where I am hurried, gentle where I am harsh, faithful where I am inconsistent. It does not shout, yet it transforms. It does not boast, yet it builds. It is this gentle strength that holds me now. God, I think of Paul, who cried out to you about his weakness, begging for the thorn to be removed. Yet you answered not with deliverance, but with promise. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Those words echo in me today. They remind me that grace is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of your power in the midst of it. My weaknesses are not disqualifications. They are invitations for your grace to show itself stronger than my effort. Lord, I ask you to teach me to live in the rhythm of grace, Too often I push myself beyond what you ask, carrying burdens you never placed on me. Too often I measure myself by impossible standards, forgetting that your grace covers where I fall short. Let me rest in the truth that I am not defined by failures, but by your mercy. Let me breathe easier knowing that grace goes before me, walks beside me, and follows after me, covering every step with love that does not run dry. Father, I want to see grace not only as something I receive, but also as something I extend. If your grace has carried me, then let it flow through me to others. Let me speak with patience when I am tempted to criticize. Show kindness when I am tempted to withdraw. Forgive when I am tempted to hold grudges. Grace is not weakness. It is strength under control. It is the strength to choose love over retaliation, compassion over indifference, gentleness over judgment. Teach me to live this way, to let grace be my reflex instead of pride. God, I marvel at how grace transforms scars into testimonies. What once seemed like marks of failure become reminders of resilience, because grace carried me through. What once seemed like hopeless endings become seeds of new beginnings, because grace wrote a different story. You weave redemption into the fabric of my life so gently that I sometimes miss it until I look back and realize how far I have been carried. Your grace is the hidden strength that has kept me standing when I thought I would collapse. Lord, I ask you to let this grace become the atmosphere of my soul when storms rage. Let grace be the calm that steadies me. When fear rises, let grace be the voice that reminds me I am not alone. When doubt whispers, let grace be the anchor that holds me fast. Grace is not fragile. It is stronger than failure, deeper than sorrow, wider than fear. Let it soak into every part of me until I am shaped by its gentleness and steadied by its power. Father, help me to remember that grace is never earned, is gift upon gift, overflowing from your heart without condition. When I stumble, grace is there to lift me. When I run, grace is there to pursue me. When I stand, grace is there to keep me from falling. I cannot exhaust it. I cannot outgrow it. I cannot break it. I can only receive it with gratitude and let it shape me into someone who lives lighter, freer, and stronger in your love. So this morning I rest in that gentle strength. I let go of striving and allow grace to do what my effort cannot. I allow its quiet current to carry me where my strength would falter. I trust that grace will guide me through the day, softening my rough edges, calming my hurried spirit, reminding me that I am held. And as I walk forward, I pray that others may sense through me not the weight of striving, but the freedom of grace, the gentle strength that transforms everything it touches. Father, as I rest in the gentle strength of your grace, I begin to realize that grace does more than carry me, it rebuilds me. It does not merely patch the broken places, but reshapes me from within, piece by piece, until what once was shattered becomes whole again. I cannot rebuild myself with sheer determination, for my strength is too fragile and my wisdom too limited. But you, Lord, rebuild from the inside out, beginning in the hidden places of the heart and working outward until the change is undeniable. God, I confess that too often I focus on the external. I want to see immediate results, outward signs of progress, visible evidence that everything is fixed. Yet you remind me that true rebuilding starts in the unseen spaces. A house cannot stand without a solid foundation, and a life cannot thrive without a heart restored in your presence. You begin where no one else can see, and though it feels slow, it is steady and it lasts. Teach me to trust this hidden work, even when I long for quick transformation. Lord, I remember how Nehemiah rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. The stones lay in ruin, the gates were burned, and the people were discouraged. Yet with vision, courage, and faith, the walls rose again. In the same way, I feel like parts of my life have been torn down, dreams lost, trust broken, strength diminished. But you are the master builder. Where I see rubble, you see material for restoration. Where I see ruins, you see the framework for something new. Father, rebuild my thoughts so that they align with truth and not with lies. Rebuild my emotions so that peace and joy take root, where fear and sorrow once lived. Rebuild my identity so that I no longer define myself by wounds or failures, but by who I am in you. Let this rebuilding not be superficial, but deep, reaching into every part of me until even the places I try to hide are renewed by your Spirit. God, I know that rebuilding requires cooperation. Just as the people of Jerusalem each worked on the section of wall in front of their own house, I too must take responsibility for my part. Help me to guard my heart, to choose wisely, to invite accountability, and to remain faithful even when the progress feels slow. Keep me from discouragement, reminding me that every stone placed, every prayer prayed, every step taken matters. Lord, I ask you to rebuild my capacity to love. Pain has sometimes made me guarded, cautious, unwilling to trust. But you did not create me to live behind walls of fear. Tear down what is false and raise up what is true. Teach me to love freely, not because people will always respond perfectly, but because your love flows through me abundantly. Let my heart become whole enough to pour into others without fear of running dry. Father, rebuild my hope. Life's disappointments have at times eroded it, leaving me reluctant to dream again. But you are the God who restores what was lost and breathes life into what seems dead. Rekindle the vision within me, stir new desires, and remind me that my story is not finished. Let hope rise stronger than disappointment, louder than regret, and deeper than fear. God, I also ask you to rebuild my courage. Fear has often silenced me, made me shrink back when I should step forward. But courage does not come from ignoring fear. It comes from trusting you more than fear. Place within me a boldness that grows out of surrender, a willingness to move even when I cannot see the outcome. Rebuild in me the spirit that believes you are with me in every step, and that nothing surrendered to you is ever wasted. Lord, as you rebuild me from the inside out, let the transformation spill into the outside world. Let my relationships bear the fruit of restoration. Let my work carry the mark of integrity. Let my presence bring encouragement to others who feel like ruins themselves. May they see in me not perfection, but progress, not flawless strength, but a testimony of rebuilding grace. So this morning I yield again to the process. I lay down impatience and let you build at your pace. I trust that though I cannot always see the progress, the structure is rising, I believe that when you rebuild, what stands will be stronger than before, more beautiful than I imagined, and more lasting than anything I could construct on my own. From the inside out, make me new, until my life itself becomes a living witness of your restoring love. Lord, as I reflect on how you rebuild me from the inside out, I cannot ignore the seasons, and the rebuilding feels slow. When progress seems invisible, and when your voice feels far away, these are the times when silence presses against my soul. When I pray and hear nothing, when I look for signs and see only shadows. In those moments I wonder if I am forgotten, if my words vanish into empty space. Yet even in this silence, I choose to believe you are near. Father, silence has a weight that unsettles me. It feels like standing in a room waiting for someone to speak, only to hear the echo of my own breath. It makes me doubt, makes me question if I am doing something wrong, or if I am alone. But your silence is not the silence of absence. It is often the silence of presence too deep for words, of work being done beneath the surface where I cannot see. Teach me to lean into this quiet instead of fleeing from it, to trust that silence does not mean abandonment. God, I think of Job, who sat in ashes, desperate for answers, surrounded by voices but longing for yours. You did not respond immediately. Yet when you finally spoke, it was not with explanations, but with a revelation of your majesty. In his silence you were not cruel. You were preparing his heart to encounter you in a greater way, in the same way. Help me to see that when you feel silent, you may be drawing me deeper, beyond shallow dependence into a trust that rests even without constant reassurance. Lord, I remember Elijah, weary and afraid, waiting for you on the mountain. There was a wind, an earthquake, a fire, but you were not in them. Then came a gentle whisper. It was not the dramatic spectacle, but the quiet voice that carried your presence. Remind me that when you feel silent, it may be because I am still expecting thunder. When you are speaking softly, tune my ears to recognize the whisper, to notice the subtle nudges, to value the quiet ways you guide me. Father, I confess that silence exposes my impatience. I want immediate answers, quick solutions, clear directions, but silence forces me to wait, to surrender control, to keep walking by faith rather than by sight. It strips away my illusions of control and reveals how deeply I long for certainty. Yet in that longing, you invite me to discover that certainty is not in knowing the outcome, but in knowing you. If I have you, then even in silence, I have enough. God, I ask for courage to keep praying when the heavens seem closed. Let me not grow weary of lifting my voice, even when no response comes. Let my prayers become an offering of faith, a declaration that I trust you regardless of what I feel. Teach me that prayer is not a transaction, but a relationship, and that silence does not end the conversation, it deepens it. Lord, let this silence shape my heart. Let it humble me, reminding me that I do not command your voice but wait for it. Let it refine me, burning away my pride and teaching me patience. Let it strengthen me, so that when your word does come, I can carry it with reverence. Use the silence to prepare me for the sound, the waiting to prepare me for the promise, the hunger to prepare me for the feast. Father, Help me to trust that silence is not empty but full of unseen activity. While I wait, you are weaving threads I cannot perceive, aligning pieces I cannot arrange, preparing outcomes I cannot design. Silence is not inactivity. It is hidden creativity. And when the time is right, what has been forming in the quiet will come into view. And I will understand that you were never far away. God, when silence feels heavy, let me rest in the memory of your past faithfulness. Let me recall the times when I once thought you were absent, only to later see how present you had been. Let me remind myself that your character does not change with my perception. You are good when I hear you and good when I do not. You are present when you speak and present when you are silent. So this morning I do not run from the silence. I choose to sit within it, to breathe in its weight, to let it stretch me and steady me. I choose to trust that the silence is not punishment, but invitation, not abandonment, but intimacy. And as I wait, I lift my heart in quiet confidence that even if I hear nothing today, you are still here, still working, still loving, still guiding me toward the fullness of your plan. Father, when silence stretches across the landscape of my heart, I find strength in remembering. Though the present may feel uncertain and the heavens may seem quiet, memory becomes a lantern that lights the path beneath my feet. I recall the times you answered when I thought all hope was gone. The moments when your presence broke through my despair. The seasons when what I feared most was turned into a testimony of your faithfulness. Remembering is not nostalgia. It is an act of faith. It is declaring that the same God who moved before will move again. Lord, I think back to times when prayers whispered in weakness were met with unexpected answers. I remember when provision came through doors I did not know existed, when comfort arrived in the arms of friends, when peace settled on me like a blanket after nights of restlessness. These memories are not accidents. They are reminders that you were near all along, working in ways I could not see. Each story becomes a stone of remembrance, building an altar in my heart that proclaims your goodness to my present doubts. God, I reflect on the stories written in Scripture that testify to the power of remembering. When Israel crossed the Jordan, you commanded them to set up stones so future generations would ask, "What do these stones mean?" And they could answer, "They mean the Lord's hand was mighty." Remembering was not for sentiment but for strength, to anchor faith in future battles. In the same way, my memories are stones I can point to when doubt tries to speak louder than hope. They declare that you are faithful yesterday, today, and forever. Father, I confess how easily I forget when trouble rises. I often let fear erase what you have done. I let present struggles blind me to past victories. I dwell on what is lacking instead of on what you have already provided. Forgive me for my forgetfulness, and teach me to practice remembrance intentionally. Let me write down answered prayers, speak them aloud, share them with others, and rehearse them in my heart until they drown out the noise of uncertainty. Lord, memory becomes more than comfort, it becomes a weapon. When fear says I will not survive, I remember the times you sustained me. When shame tells me I am unworthy, I remember how you covered me with mercy. when despair insists that nothing will change. I remember the transformations you have already worked. Remembrance dismantles lies because it testifies of truth. It grounds me in what I know of you, not in what I feel in the moment. God, I also ask for the grace to remember not only my own story, but the stories of others. The testimonies of those who walked before me, who endured trials yet saw your hand, are also lights for my path. Their faith strengthens mine, reminding me that I am part of a much larger story, one where your faithfulness is the common thread. Let me honor their journeys by recalling them, by learning from them, by letting their lives inspire me to keep walking. Father, I pray that remembering would not make me passive, but active. Let it not be a longing for the past, but a springboard into hope for the future. If you provided before, then I can face today with confidence. If you healed before, then I can believe for healing again. If you guided me before, then I can trust you are guiding me still. Memory becomes momentum, pushing me forward when I feel stuck, lifting my head when I am bowed down. Lord, let me carry these memories into the lives of others. When I see someone drowning in despair, help me to share my story of how you rescued me. When I see someone afraid of tomorrow, let me speak of how you held me through uncertain seasons. My memories are not only for me, they are seeds of encouragement for those who cannot yet see their own breakthrough. Let my remembrance become their reminder that you are still faithful. So this morning I choose to look back, not with regret, but with gratitude. I gather the fragments of memory and hold them like treasures, each one evidence of your hand. I let them steady me, lift me, remind me, and as I remember, my heart grows lighter, my faith grows stronger, my hope grows brighter. I step forward into this day, carrying the testimony of yesterday, believing that the same God who was faithful then is faithful now and will be faithful still. God, as I dwell on the power of remembering, something awakens in me that feels like a child seeing the world again for the first time. Memory does not only ground me, it reopens my eyes to wonder. Somewhere along the way, the weight of life dulled my vision. I stopped noticing the beauty hidden in ordinary things, the miracles disguised as everyday gifts, the extraordinary woven into the ordinary. But when I remember your faithfulness, wonder returns like a spark rekindled after long darkness. Father, I confess that I have allowed routine to rob me of awe. I wake, I work, I strive, I rest, but often without pausing to marvel at the breath in my lungs, the warmth of light on my face, the kindness that finds me unexpectedly. Yet each of these is a miracle. Each is evidence that you are present, that life itself is a gift. Teach me to look again with fresh eyes, to see not just what is familiar, but what is sacred. Lord, I recall how children gaze at the simplest things with delight, the flight of a bird, the shimmer of water, the unfolding of a flower. Their hearts are not cluttered with cynicism, and their vision is not clouded by fear. You once said that unless we become like little children, we cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. Perhaps it is because children live in wonder, and wonder keeps the heart open to trust. Restore to me that simplicity, that joy of seeing and believing without constant doubt. God, let me marvel at your creation again, The sunrise that paints the sky with colors no brush could capture. The stars scattered across the night like countless promises. The rhythm of tides that never fail, these are reminders of your majesty. Too often I rush past them, blind to their beauty, but today I pause. I let the wonder sink in, reminding me that if you can hold the universe in such harmony, surely you can hold my life with the same care. Father, I ask you to awaken wonder not only in what I see, but in who you are. Let me be amazed again at the depth of your mercy, the wideness of your love, the patience of your grace. Let me never grow so accustomed to hearing of your goodness that I forget to be astonished by it. The cross itself is wonder beyond words, that you would love so completely, forgive so freely, redeem so fully. Let my heart never tire of being moved by that truth. Lord, I long for wonder to return even in places of struggle, to see not only problems but possibilities, not only pain but the potential for transformation. Let me marvel that you can bring beauty out of ashes, joy out of sorrow, strength out of weakness. Wonder does not deny the reality of hardship. It declares that hardship is not the whole story. It looks beyond what is broken and glimpses the hand of a God who restores. God, I ask that wonder would reshape my prayers. Instead of approaching you with wary repetition, let me come with awe that I am even invited into conversation with the Creator of all things. Instead of rushing through words, let me linger in amazement that you listen, that you care, that you respond. Wonder turns prayer from duty into delight, from obligation into encounter. Let my prayers once again be filled with reverence and joy. Father, let wonder overflow into my relationships. Help me to see people not as interruptions but as treasures. Let me marvel at the uniqueness of every soul, the stories carried within them, the reflections of your image shining through their lives. Let me not take for granted the laughter of friends, the wisdom of elders, the innocence of children. Each person is a wonder, a living reminder that your creativity is endless. Lord, let wonder also guide how I face the unknown. Instead of fear, let me approach it with curiosity, trusting that even in uncertainty you are writing something beautiful. Let me wake each day not dreading what may come, but marveling at what could unfold. Wonder transforms anxiety into anticipation, turning the unknown into a canvas where your goodness can be revealed in new ways. So this morning I welcome the return of wonder. I choose to see, to marvel, to be amazed again. I choose to let awe shape my steps and gratitude shape my words. I choose to live as though every breath is a miracle and every moment a gift. And as wonder fills my heart, I sense joy rising, hope expanding, and faith deepening. For wonder reminds me that life with you is never ordinary, it is always sacred, always surprising, always full of glory waiting to be seen. Father, as wonder returns and fills my heart with awe, I realize how much space has been occupied by the pain I still carry. It is hard to embrace beauty fully when my hands are clenched around old wounds, memories of hurt, betrayal, and loss cling like shadows, whispering lies that I am defined by them. Yet I know that to live freely, I must loosen my grip and place these burdens into your hands. I cannot hold wonder and wounds at the same time. I must choose to release what weighs me down. Lord, letting go feels like surrendering a part of myself. The pain has become familiar, almost a companion I did not ask for but grew used to. There are days when I fear that if I let it go, I will lose the story of who I am. But deep down I know the opposite is true. Holding on keeps me chained to the past. Releasing it opens the way to healing. Teach me to trust that my story is not defined by what broke me, but by how you redeem me. God, I remember how you invite the weary and heavy laden to come and find rest. Rest cannot be found if I insist on carrying what was never meant for me to hold forever. So I lay before you the disappointments that linger in my chest, the unspoken grief that surfaces in quiet moments, the anger I have tried to bury, but that still erupts when least expected. I confess them, not to dwell on them, but to release them into your care. Father, I picture the act of letting go as opening my fists. My hands, once tight around hurt, slowly uncurl, trembling as they release what I thought I needed to protect. As my grip loosens, I feel both fear and relief. Fear, because the wounds made me feel safe in their familiarity. Relief, because freedom whispers at the edges of my release. Into these empty hands, you place peace, comfort, and new beginnings. Lord, I ask you to meet me in the rawness of this release. Healing is not instant, and some wounds leave scars, but scars are not signs of failure. They are reminders of survival. They testify that I walked through fire and was not consumed, that I was broken but not abandoned. Let me see my scars as sacred markers of your sustaining grace, not as chains binding me to the past. God, I pray for the courage to forgive those who caused the pain I carry. Forgiveness is not excusing what happened, nor denying the depth of the wound. It is choosing to no longer let the offense hold power over me. It is cutting the tether that keeps me bound to anger and bitterness. I cannot do this on my own. The hurt feels too deep, but I believe you can soften my heart, empowering me to forgive in the same way you forgave me. Father, I also pray for the strength to forgive myself. Sometimes the deepest wounds are not from others, but from my own mistakes, regrets, and failures. The weight of shame keeps me from moving forward, convincing me that I am unworthy of love or restoration. Yet you remind me that mercy is new every morning, that grace covers even the darkest parts of me. Help me to release my self-condemnation and step into the freedom of your forgiveness. Lord, as I let go, I sense the quiet voice of healing rising. It does not shout, it whispers gently, reminding me that release makes room for restoration. Letting go does not erase the past, but it breaks its hold on the present. It allows me to live not as a prisoner of yesterday, but as a vessel open to today's blessings. In this act of surrender, I find unexpected strength, the strength to breathe, to hope, to trust again. God, I ask you to show me how to walk lighter. Teach me to notice when I pick up the burdens I have already placed down. Remind me daily that I do not need to carry them again. Let my heart learn the rhythm of release, practicing it not once but continually, until it becomes as natural as breathing. Each release is a step closer to wholeness, each act of surrender a doorway to freedom. So this morning, I choose to open my hands, to unclench my heart, to let go of what hurts. I choose to release the bitterness, the grief, the anger, the regret, and to make space for peace to dwell. I do not release into emptiness. I release into your love, and as I let go, I sense the weight lifting, the light returning, and the freedom of healing flowing through me. The pain may have shaped me, but it no longer defines me. What defines me now is the love that carries me, the grace that renews me, and the peace that waits on the other side of surrender. Lord, as I let go of what hurts, I realize this release is not a single moment, but a lifelong practice. The burdens I once placed at your feet have a way of backing back into my hands when I am weary or when memories surface uninvited. Each day offers a choice, to cling again or to surrender once more. Release is not weakness, it is a rhythm, a steady returning to you, a daily emptying so that I might remain open to the life you offer. Father, I notice how quickly old voices of pain try to reclaim space in my heart. They whisper through disappointment, through fear, through reminders of wounds I thought were long healed. Yet you remind me that release is not about forgetting. It is about refusing to let the past govern the present. Each time I hand the weight back to you, I affirm that I belong to freedom, not bondage, to grace, not bitterness. Help me to keep choosing release even when it feels repetitive, even when the pain seems stubborn. God, I see how ongoing release shapes my character. Each surrender stretches trust, teaching me to rely less on my own strength and more on yours. Each letting go softens my heart, making space for compassion where hardness once ruled. Each act of release renews me, gently breaking cycles of fear and shame that try to return. In this rhythm, I learn patience, humility, and dependence. Qualities I could not gain if release were only once and final. Lord, I imagine release as breathing. Just as I exhale what no longer sustains me, I release pain, anger, and regret. Just as I inhale fresh air, I receive peace, hope, and love. Breathing is constant, not occasional. So too must be my practice of surrender. Teach me to live in this holy rhythm, to notice when my soul grows tense, and to exhale it all into your care. Father, I pray for vigilance, because there are days when I carry weight without realizing it. I find myself restless, anxious, or hardened, only to discover that I have picked up the very burdens I had already given to you. Gently remind me in those moments to open my hands again. Let small practices anchor me in release. A whispered prayer in the morning, a pause at midday, a quiet reflection at night. These small acts keep my heart uncluttered and my spirit free. God, ongoing release also means trusting you with outcomes. So often I want closure on my own terms, healing in my own timing, or justice according to my own measure. But true surrender acknowledges that I cannot control how or when redemption unfolds. Release hands over not only the pain itself, but also the demand for answers. It entrusts the story to you, believing that you write with wisdom beyond my understanding. Lord, Show me how ongoing release transforms relationships. When I let go of the need to control others, space opens for grace to grow. When I release the bitterness that rises in conflict, reconciliation becomes possible. When I let go of unspoken expectations, love flows more freely. Teach me to practice this not only within myself, but with those around me, so that peace extends outward as well as inward. Father, let me remember that release is not passivity but strength. It does not mean pretending the wound was light or ignoring what needs to be addressed. It means I choose to carry it no longer as my own. It means I entrust justice, healing, and restoration to you. It means I decide that the burden will not define me, nor will it shape my future. In this strength, I find freedom, and in this freedom, I find joy. God, I ask that each act of ongoing release deepen my wonder. The more I let go, the more space there is for beauty to return. The more I unclench my grip, the more capable I am of receiving what you wish to place in my hands. Pain once crowded out joy, but release clears the way for hope to bloom again. With each surrender, my vision grows clearer, my spirit lighter, my trust steadier. So today I embrace release not as a single act, but as a way of life. I release the echoes of yesterday, the worries of tomorrow, the pressures of today. I release the weight of control, the sting of regret, the grip of fear. And in this ongoing surrender, I breathe deeply, stand freely, and live openly. For as long as life continues, there will be things to let go. But with each release, I step closer to wholeness, closer to peace, closer to the life you intend for me to live. Father, as I learn the rhythm of release and surrender what once bound me, I sense a new strength rising within me. It is not the brittle strength I once relied on, built on sheer willpower and the determination to appear unshaken. This strength feels different. It flows quietly, like a river steady in its course, not loud or boastful, but persistent and alive. It is the kind of strength that does not come from myself, but from leaning into you, from discovering that when I am weak, then I am truly strong because you carry me. Lord, I admit that for so long I misunderstood strength. I thought it meant never faltering, never showing pain, always carrying more than I could bear. But those false notions only left me exhausted and hollow. Now I see that true strength is not about pretending to be invulnerable. It is about admitting my weakness and depending on you. It is about walking forward even when I feel uncertain, trusting that your hand steadies me. God, I remember the words that say those who wait on you will renew their strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. That is the strength I long for, not a burst that fades quickly, but a sustaining energy that carries me through the long road. It is not a strength that denies struggle, but one that endures through it, holding on to hope even when the journey feels endless. Father, I feel this strength growing not only in my spirit, but in how I face each day. It is there when I rise in the morning with gratitude instead of dread. It is there when I choose forgiveness instead of bitterness. It is there when I speak truth gently but firmly, when I extend kindness even when none is returned, when I take the next step forward though fear whispers that I should stop. This strength is not about ease. It is about faithfulness. Lord, new strength reshapes how I see obstacles. What once looked like walls too high to climb now look like places where you will lift me. What once felt like valleys of despair now feel like paths where your presence is closest. Strength does not erase hardship, but it changes how I walk through it. I no longer walk hunched beneath the weight, but upright, eyes lifted, steps steady, because I am not walking alone. God, I ask you to teach me to carry this strength humbly. Let it never become pride that makes me think I can do life without you. Let it never make me harsh toward others who are struggling. True strength is tender, patient, and compassionate because it remembers what weakness feels like. Let this strength always remind me to encourage the weary, to lift the broken, to walk beside those who cannot yet stand on their own. Father, I sense that new strength is also resilience. It is the ability to rise again after falling, to rebuild after loss, to keep going when the night feels endless. Resilience is not stubbornness. It is trust that even after devastation, life can begin again. It is faith that dawn always follows the longest night. Let resilience take root in me so that when storms come, I bend but do not break. I ache but do not despair. I stumble but do not remain fallen. Lord, this strength also frees me to dream again, where hurt and fear once kept me from imagining a future. Now hope plants seeds of vision. Strength allows me to believe that new chapters are possible, that love can be restored, that peace can flourish. It dares me to see beyond the ruins into the rebuilding, to trust that the life ahead is not barren, but fertile ground waiting for your touch. God, help me to carry this strength into small, ordinary moments as much as in great trials. Let it show when I choose patience in frustration, when I remain calm in conflict, when I keep faith in seasons of delay. Strength is not only for the extraordinary, it is for the everyday. It is found in the quiet persistence of living with integrity, in the steady rhythm of trusting you day after day, in the unseen choices that shape the person I am becoming. So today I walk in new strength, not my own, but yours. It is a strength born of surrender, nurtured by trust, sustained by hope. It is quiet yet unshakable, gentle yet unyielding, humble yet bold. With this strength, I step into the unknown with courage, into challenges with resilience, into relationships with compassion, into life with joy. And as I walk, I know I am carried, upheld, and renewed by the one who is my everlasting source of strength. Lord, as new strength steadies my steps, I realize how deeply I need hope to guide me. Strength may help me endure the weight of life, but without hope, even endurance feels hollow. Hope is the light that points me forward, the quiet assurance that tomorrow holds promise even when today feels uncertain. It is not loud or fleeting, but steady, like a flame sheltered from the wind, refusing to be extinguished. This hope does not come from wishful thinking, but from trusting your character, your promises, and your faithfulness. Father, I confess that hope has not always come easily to me. There have been seasons when despair felt more natural, when disappointment whispered that nothing would change, when unanswered prayers left me doubting if hope was worth holding on to. In those moments, I settled for surviving rather than expecting good things ahead. Yet you remind me that hope is not fragile optimism. It is an anchor for the soul, firm and secure, holding me steady in storms. Hope is not built on circumstances, but on you, God. Hope transforms how I see waiting. Without it, waiting feels like punishment, like lost time that drains me. With it, waiting becomes preparation, shaping me quietly for what is to come. Hope teaches me patience, reminding me that delay does not mean denial, and silence does not mean absence, as seeds need time hidden in the soil before they sprout. So too do the promises you plant need time to grow. Hope helps me trust the unseen, believing that beneath the surface, life is already taking root. Lord, hope also changes how I face setbacks. When plans unravel or dreams crumble, despair tells me it is the end. But hope declares it is not over yet. Hope does not deny pain. It insists that pain is not final. It whispers that redemption is possible, that renewal is near, that joy will return. This steady hope keeps me from giving up, reminding me that each ending can lead to a new beginning, and that no night, however long, lasts forever. Father, I ask you to anchor my hope in what is eternal, not temporary. Too often I place my expectations in things that shift success, recognition, security, and when they falter, my hope falters too. Teach me to ground my hope in you alone, the one who does not change, the one whose love is constant, whose word never fails. With this foundation, I can face uncertainty without being shaken, because my hope rests not on what I see, but on who you are. God, let hope shape my daily outlook. Let it be present when I wake in the morning, reminding me that new mercies await. Let it guide my choices, helping me act with faith rather than fear. Let it soften my words, so I speak encouragement instead of despair. Let it lift my posture, so I walk with expectation rather than resignation. With steady hope, even small tasks gain meaning, because each one is a step toward a future filled with your goodness. Lord, I also pray that hope would flow outward from me to others. There are so many who feel crushed by despair, who cannot see beyond their pain, who believe their story has ended in darkness. Let my life be a testimony of hope that steadies them. Let my words remind them that their struggle is not wasted, that their waiting is not empty, that their pain is not the conclusion. Help me carry hope into conversations, into relationships, into places where shadows linger, so that others may see light again. Father, I think of hope not as something fragile to be protected, but as something powerful to be lived. It is not passive, it is active. It moves me to act with courage, to speak with conviction, to endure with perseverance. It calls me to keep building, keep loving, keep believing, even when the outcome is unseen. Hope makes me resilient, not because everything is easy, because I know that nothing is wasted in your hands. God, I hold on to the truth that hope does not disappoint when it is rooted in you. Even when answers differ from what I imagined, hope assures me that your plan is greater, your timing wiser, and your purpose deeper. This steady hope keeps me from despairing in the unknown. It steadies my breathing, strengthens my resolve, and softens my heart, reminding me that the story is still unfolding, and that you remain at work. So today I choose to live with steady hope. I choose to anchor my heart in promises greater than what I see, to face delays with trust, to meet setbacks with resilience, to encourage others with light. Hope becomes the melody I carry into this day, the rhythm that steadies my steps, the vision that lifts my eyes beyond the present. And as I live in this hope, I find strength renewed, peace sustained, and joy rising. For steady hope teaches me that with you, tomorrow is always worth believing for. Father, as steady hope fills me, I realize how vital it is to remember. Hope looks forward, but remembrance steadies me by looking back. They are not opposites but companions. Hope gives vision for what lies ahead, while memory anchors me in what has already been done. Without remembering, my hope can drift into fantasy. Without hope, my remembering can become only nostalgia. But together they create balance, a rhythm of past and future woven into the present. Lord, I think of the countless times you have shown up in my life, and I do not want to let them fade into forgetfulness. I remember nights when despair seemed unbearable, and yet comfort arrived in ways I could not explain. I remember moments when provision came at the very last hour, when strength rose in me though I thought I had none left. These stories are not simply past events. They are signposts that point me back to you, whispering that if you were faithful then, you are faithful now. God, I confess that I easily forget. I rush forward into new days and new struggles, and the testimony of yesterday becomes faint when challenges press in. My heart too quickly acts as if you have never carried me before. Forgive me for my forgetfulness, for treating miracles as though they were ordinary, for overlooking the extraordinary woven into my story. Teach me to cultivate remembrance intentionally, to rehearse your goodness so often that it becomes second nature to recall it in moments of doubt. Father, I think of the way you commanded your people to build altars or place stones as reminders of your deliverance. Those markers were not for decoration. They were for memory. When children asked, "What do these stones mean?" the answer told the story of how you saved, how you guided, how you provided. I long to build such altars in my heart. Memories I return to, stories I pass on, reminders that keep my faith alive. Let me never underestimate the power of a remembered story. Lord, remembrance does more than comfort me. It reshapes how I see today. When fear rises, memory speaks. You have faced fear before, and I was with you. When loneliness echoes, memory reminds. You were never truly alone. I carried you through. When weakness drains you, memory recalls. My strength met you then, and it will meet you again. Remembering is not sentiment. It is declaration. It is the act of letting history preach louder than despair. God, I ask you to make my memory wide, not only for my own story, but for the stories of others. Let me remember the testimonies of friends who were healed, of loved ones who were restored, of strangers whose lives turned around because of grace. Their stories join mine, forming a chorus of remembrance that shouts louder than doubt. When I recall them, I see that faith is not an isolated experience, but a shared testimony of your unchanging goodness. Father, I want my remembrance to be active, not passive. Let me write down answered prayers, speak of them often, and share them with those who feel hopeless. Let me use remembrance as encouragement for weary hearts, as fuel for conversations that point others toward you. Memory is not meant to be hidden. It is meant to be told. As I remember, let me also remind, becoming a voice that says to others, "You are not forgotten, for the one who was faithful before is faithful still." Lord, I sense how remembrance transforms my worship. It is easy to sing when life is bright, but true worship flows when I look back and realize how many valleys you have already carried me through. Gratitude deepens when I connect today's breath with yesterday's deliverance. Joy becomes fuller when I recognize that it is not random, but rooted in your hand guiding my story all along. Remembering turns worship into something deeper, something honest, something resilient. God, I also pray for the discipline to remember in the midst of waiting. When promises feel delayed, let me recall other seasons when answers seemed slow but came at just the right time. Let me remind myself that the story is still unfolding, and that each past faithfulness is evidence that future faithfulness will come. Remembering turns waiting from frustration into anticipation, transforming impatience into quiet trust. So this morning, I choose to remember. I gather the fragments of memory and hold them like treasures. I recall the stones of victory, the moments of deliverance, the whispers of comfort, the gifts of provision. I let them steady me, reminding me of who you are and who I am because of you. And as I remember, hope grows stronger, faith grows deeper, and my heart learns again that nothing has ever been wasted in your hands. The power of remembering lights the present with truth and illuminates the future with promise. Father, as I arrive at this quiet place in the journey of prayer, I sense how every word spoken, every tear released, every moment of stillness has carried me closer to you. The path has not been easy, yet it has been filled with your presence. I began with trembling, unsure of how to carry the weight inside me, but step by step you have met me with strength, with mercy, with wonder, and with peace. Now, as I look back, I see how every chapter has been part of a larger story of learning to live in your love. Lord, I know that prayer is not finished here, because prayer is not measured in chapters or in days. It is a rhythm of living, a breath that continues long after words fade. What I hold in my heart now is not an ending, but a continuation. It is the awareness that wherever I go from here, you walk with me, and my voice can always rise to meet yours in the quiet of morning, in the press of day, in the stillness of night. God, I carry gratitude in this final reflection. Gratitude for the times when light broke through darkness, for the moments when hope replaced despair, for the gentle ways you taught me to release what I could not carry, and for the strength you gave me when I thought I had none left. Gratitude for the way wonder returned, for the way remembering steadied me, for the way hope anchored me, and for the way surrender freed me. These are not just memories. They are treasures I will keep, reminders of how deeply you care. Father, I pray that this prayer would not stay contained within me, but would overflow into the lives of others. May it encourage those who feel weary. May it steady those who are afraid. May it remind those who are hurting that they are not forgotten. Let every word echo with kindness, every breath carry peace, and every memory of this journey point toward your love that never ends. Lord, as I stand on the edge of what comes next, I know there will be new struggles, new fears, new moments when I will need to release again. Yet I do not step into the future empty-handed. I carry the lessons of this prayer, the strength of surrender, the beauty of wonder, the resilience of hope, and the peace of remembering. With these gifts, I can walk forward, trusting that your hand will guide me and your love will sustain me. God, I picture this moment as a horizon, soft with the colors of dawn. The night has passed, and a new day begins. The air is cool, touched by a gentle breeze. The light grows slowly, steady and sure, reminding me that life is not static, but always unfolding. This horizon does not close the journey, but opens it. It is an invitation to keep walking, to keep believing, to keep praying. Father, thank you for being present in every word, for listening even when silence seemed louder than speech, for holding me when I did not know how to hold myself. Thank you for the listener who has walked through this journey to the end, for the heart that opened to each line, for the courage it took to stay and to listen. I ask that blessings would rest on them now, that peace would meet them where they are, that light would rise in their lives like a dawn that cannot be dimmed. To you, my dear friend who has walked through these prayers, thank you for going this far. Your willingness to listen, to reflect, to open your heart has given this journey its meaning. I invite you to carry these prayers into your own days, to let them become part of your rhythm, to let them breathe life into the moments that feel heavy. And if they have touched you, I encourage you to share your feelings and your prayers in the space below, so that together we can grow in faith and remind one another that we are not alone. As this prayer closes, the invitation continues. Continue to nurture your spirit. Continue to lift your voice. Continue to trust in the one who holds every sunrise, every breeze, every flowing stream. Stay connected not only here, but with each other, building a community of hope and faith that carries beyond this moment. Do not let this be the last time your heart turns toward prayer, but let it be one step in a lifetime of seeking, trusting, and finding. And before we part for now, I ask you to remember this. Your journey matters. Your prayers matter. Your faith matters. If this prayer has strengthened you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel's channel so you never miss another moment of truth and encouragement. Share this with those who may need light today. Together let us keep faith alive each day, reminding the world that hope is real and love never fails. So we end here only to begin again, with hearts open, with faith renewed, with eyes lifted to the horizon. The dawn rises, the air is fresh, and the sound of living water flows gently, carrying us forward into a new day.